So we are here with Gary from Tips for Travelers. Hi, Gary.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show today. I know that my viewers are really going to be as honored as I am that you agreed to come on and spend a little bit of time with us this morning.
Oh, thanks for asking me. I was pleased to be asked. It's always nice to chat to people about cruising, always.
So if you're not familiar with Tips for Traveler, and since you are much, much larger than I am, I'm assuming that just about everybody watching right now knows who you are. Gary has one of the largest YouTube channels out there in the travel sector. So if you don't know who Tips for Travelers is, check the link out in the description of this video and make sure you subscribe to his channel. There's tons of great videos out there, and like mine, his videos are all about information on cruising and traveling. So if you haven't done that, go to his channel as soon as you're done watching this and subscribe to his channel as well.
Oh, thank you for that.
No problem. So tell me a little bit about you, Gary. You're from the UK, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm based in the UK. I live in London, and I started my channel actually when YouTube first started. Actually, just because I'm a bit geeky like that and I like doing stuff. But it was a hobby really, and I started partly because I was geeky and wanted to start it, but also I had at the time I was working in a global marketing job. I used to work for Johnson & Johnson, looking after Johnson's Baby globally. So I was traveling loads and loads. So I just started posting bits and pieces, traveling hotel rooms, things I was doing, whatever. And then I sort of got into cruising about 2005, 2006 time, and started posting bits and pieces about cruising. And then that kind of took off. And then I sort of retired from full-time kind of corporate life. And I thought, I'll spend a bit more time on my channel, do more cruising. And then I just started posting more, getting a bit more structured. And then it just took off like crazy, as you say, just like it's been fantastic how many people watch the channel. And it's great also, I'm sure you have the same, although you do your group cruises. It's great now when I go cruising because so many people come up and chat to me and discuss the videos and the channel and cruising. So yeah, so it's taken over my life, as it were, but in a good way. It's been fantastic. Yeah, like a little hobby that was sort of just something to do for fun has become just fantastic. Yeah.
So you started your channel at the beginning of YouTube. A lot of people ask me about starting a YouTube channel, and my advice to them is in the beginning, it's tough because you're putting all these videos up and nobody's really watching. And it seems like, especially lately, everybody with a camera is starting a YouTube channel, but they peter off after about 3 or 4 months of discouragement.
Yeah.
What was it that after you started your channel that made you continue beyond that discouraging period where people just aren't watching your videos?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it's partly, and I think this is where the real shift comes, was I originally did it for me and sort of friends and family and whatever. I was doing the hotel videos to show my mum where I was staying kind of thing and to remind myself. And then I think what I realized is if you want people to watch videos, you need to make videos for people rather than for yourself. And that was a big change. So thinking about what do people want to watch? Why do they want to watch it? Why would they come and watch me? What am I doing that's different? And asking those kind of questions. So I think that's really important. Are you doing it for yourself? In which case, do whatever you want to do and don't worry about anyone watching you. But if you really want people to watch your videos, you have to make videos for them, not for you. And spend a bit of time about, as I was saying there, like, who do I want to watch? And what do I bring that's different to everybody else? And I think, if you look at a lot of channels and a lot of YouTube, a lot of people do the same thing. So it's finding the thing that's different. And finding also, and I guess as you found as well, is finding, increasingly, if you want to start a YouTube channel today, you need to find, like, almost put yourself in a little box, if you like. Find something that's very specific. So is it, cruising with a disability? Is it cruising for teens? Is it whatever it is? It doesn't, or is it carnival focused, or like Matt does with Royal Caribbean focused, or whatever it is? Find something that makes you stand out, that makes you different. So many people, like you're saying, because also with, great now with the quality of phones and stuff, you can easily churn out a carnival Mardi Gras ship tour, but there's going to be dozens and dozens of those, all looking the same, all saying the same thing. You've got to find the thing. So that's what I think that, why did I keep going? Come back to your original question, is I decided actually I wanted to not just do this for me. Obviously I want to do it for me because I enjoyed it. I want to do it because I want other people to really watch me. And I spend a lot of time, and as I'm sure you do, looking at what are people watching, how long are they watching, why are they watching, reading the comments, and that stuff. So, and I think also not to get disheartened, because one of the things that someone once said to me, if you were talking at a conference and you were standing up in front of 300 people, you would think that's a really big deal. Right. But when you get 300 views on YouTube, you think that's not a big deal. And I think it's getting over that. I'm saying it's 300 people that are watching you. Don't yes, some people have, 1 million people, 2 million people watch them. But, if you're invited to talk at a conference, you'd be thrilled to talk to 300 people. I think that's also getting yourself over that mindset, as it were.
I know for me, I actually got really lucky when we sold our company to Carnival. We just went online and just for fun made a video called Top 10 Tips for Traveling on Carnival, just based upon our knowledge of dealing with Carnival. And overnight it got 1 million views and lots of subscribers. So we actually got really lucky, and it really helped our channel take off right from the beginning. But I agree with you. You really have to find that niche. We're going to be doing a seminar on board our group cruise next week on how to start a YouTube channel. And that's one of the things I'm going to tell them is that, everybody with a camera does the same thing, but you really have to find that one thing that you specialize in that people are going to focus. There's 1 billion people in this world. You only need a very small percentage of them to watch your videos to be successful on YouTube.
Exactly. And actually, as you said this, Sally, I mean, you had huge passion about Carnival. You knew a lot about Carnival. You clearly made a video that people saw you had passion and understanding for. And if YouTube sees that, it pushes it. And I think also it's really, really important, as you pointed out there, is, a lot of people say, oh, YouTube only looks after the big channels and stuff. In reality, YouTube looks after itself. It doesn't care whether you're a small channel or a big channel. Right. It just wants to make money from selling advertising. So if you make a video that their algorithm sees, people like, they watch, they stick with, and keeps them on YouTube, they will start pushing it out. Now, you're right. If you're bigger, you're probably going to break through easier because they have more data and stuff. But I think it's really, your examples, it kind of encapsulates a lot of what is possible. It's possible to do, and it's still possible to do that today. To launch a channel and get traction really quickly.
Was there a breakthrough moment or a breakthrough video for you that really catapulted you?
Well, it's interesting because actually, in terms of the overall channel, there was a video, but it's got nothing to do with cruising. But it was back in about 2009 or something, because I love Vegas. So we used to go to Vegas quite often, and I did a series of videos around the roller coasters, on top of Stratosphere and New York and stuff. If anyone knows, and I just started making little videos about those. And that really took off. And that's when I could sort of understand it, because it was all around how terrifying it is to go on these rides. And that was what it was about. And it was sort of, and because there's loads of videos about the roller coasters in Las Vegas and sort of stuff. So that was the thing that also got me really thinking, okay, it's about thinking about what do people want to watch, why do they want to watch them, and delving into how YouTube works. In terms of cruising, it was a more steady build. And then it was only really when I started focusing much more that you're right, there was things that I saw that really took off, and I realized it was often when there wasn't a lot of content. So trying to find, I did stuff about river cruising in Europe, for example, which is not a lot of river cruising content. But
how that's changed.
Yeah, exactly. But it was trying to find those things that there's not everyone's doing, or finding a new spin on it, a new angle on it. But there was a couple of those that took. I'm trying to think. But it was actually going way back. That was that thing. That was when I learned the thinking about other people point. Yeah. There was one other point I was going to make, actually, Sal, just on, and that, talking a little bit around the breakthrough point. Because one thing that I learned, and I learned probably only really strongly more recently, in the last 2 years or so, is about standing out. So you can make an incredible video, which is really phenomenal, but it's kind of meaningless unless people watch it, actually go to watch it. So, I spend much more time, I would say, in the last couple of years, which is when I've also really seen the channel really take off, is around making sure that, your thumbnails and your titles are really appealing.
Very
and
important.
stop people, if you're flicking through, You've got to have things that engage people. Now, the danger, a lot of people then get caught up, they start doing clickbaity stuff, and YouTube kills a clickbait video. And if your video says, the most amazing thing you're ever going to see in your life, and and then it's a really boring video about, I don't know, something or other, the YouTube will kill it. So it's not about clickbait, but it's about intrigue. And I did see a really big difference when I focused much more on more intriguing, thumbnails and then titles, which kind of entice you to want to watch. Then you've got to deliver, because YouTube will penalize if you don't. But I think that was another critical learning. So again, as people do that, and if you're doing a unique story, that becomes much easier. If you're just doing another ship tour of Carnival Mardi Gras, okay, another ship, you've got to find a story. So if you've got a good story, that part will flows.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing, the algorithm, because it'll actually read the words on your thumbnail. I mean, it looks at the whole thing. If you have a picture of a cruise ship on your thumbnail, it knows you have a picture of a cruise ship on your thumbnail. They've gotten so advanced. They're trying to weed out, people doing exactly that, making major clickbait, and then, just having you go to the actual video and it has nothing to do with the thumbnail.
Exactly. Yeah.
As you progressed into YouTube, is YouTube your full-time career?
Yeah, it is. I mean, when I retired from work, so I was kind of lucky because I had sort of like a pension and stuff. And now YouTube is it's full time. I do, so I work on my channel all the time. And then of course through YouTube, it now means I can go cruising much more. So kind of I take all my money from YouTube that I get from the ads and I put it against cruises. Obviously the tax man takes his chunky bit from it, but I invest it all back into the channel mostly. So yeah, but it has become full time. Yeah, and there's actually very few. I mean, you probably know this, but there's very few cruise people on YouTube that do cruise full time, because it's quite a challenge to do that, and you have to get the size. But yeah, so I'm one that does it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough, especially in the beginning, because especially in our type of videos, because to really be successful in cruise videos, you have to cruise. But
exactly,
if you're not making any money on YouTube right away and you have to hold down a full-time job, it can be tough. Finding those niche topics, finding the topic that you haven't talked about 50 times. I know for me, I keep a pad of paper and a pen with me next to my bed at night. If I wake up and think of something, I write it down. You can't see it, but behind the camera in the studio, I have a big whiteboard with lines, and every time I think of something, I write down a topic. So I always have that, mentally. But how do you get by that block of the same topics over and over again?
But it's I do a similar thing. I actually on my phone, I have notes. I do it. I'm going to grab and reach out for it. I'll show you what I also have. I literally have this wad of paper, which you probably can't see, but I have this wad every time, and I have this by my desk or when I'm away. And whenever I think of an idea, I write it down. But it's interesting because yeah. So and everyone has a little technique. But I think what I do, though, to your point about that, is I find once I've got the idea down, I kind of put it to aside a little bit, and because your brain goes away. And then what I do is I sit down and I'll take the topic. So if it's I'm doing anything like Oceania cruises, say my last cruise I was on. So I say, okay, I want to do something about Oceania cruises. And then I think, okay, that's so then I think of what do I want to talk about Oceania cruises? Do I want to talk about whatever, the food or whatever? And I just basically I write down all the angles that it could be. So for example, the one I did is actually one example. Does Oceania offer anything unique in cruising? For example, I think that's a really interesting idea. That's an angle. That's a question. So I'm going to do that. So rather than just here's a straight review of Oceania. Now I've done other reviews in the past of Oceania, but this is like, okay, here's a different way of telling often the same story, but it's a new angle. It's quite intriguing, and one of the things that I also do, so I do that, I play around with titles and ideas. So it's kind of, what is the topic, but then what is the story I do? And then sometimes what I do is if I've got 3 or 4 ideas, I also use the community tab on YouTube. Now, I know I think they've dropped it now, but at one point you had to have so many subscribers before the community tab got opened. But one of the things I found on the community tab is people love doing polls. Absolutely love doing polls. So when I look at the different things I post, polls will always get much more response. So sometimes I'll say, look, I'm thinking of making a video about oceanic cruises. Here's 3 titles. Which of these 3 videos which one of these 3 or 4 videos would you most be likely to watch? And I get some feedback. So, and a lot of people get nervous about it. Oh, I'm sharing my ideas with the competition and stuff. But, I'm less concerned about it because it's still, you're telling the story. So
Right.
if you were telling that story, and if you were going to do if you were going to do a carnival, if you were going to do a carnival, does carnival offer anything unique in cruising? Which probably, I think yes is the answer. But your version of that's going to be very different to my version of that.
Right.
And I probably wouldn't tell that story because I'd say, well, actually, you're going to know that much better. Mine would be more, is carnival worth trying for someone who's never been on it? That's the story I'm going to tell about carnival. We might talk about a lot of the same things, but it's going to be very different.
Sure,
so that's how I do it.
With that specific topic, would be very different than mine would be.
Exactly. But we're probably going to say 90% the same things, but it's going to be a different spin on it. So it's a long way of answering your question around how to do it, but that's sort of my way of doing it.
Sure.
But you're right. Some of the best ideas come when you're into bed, when you're wandering around, or whatever. So I do have something
the flip side of that too, where you wake up in the middle of the night and oh my god, yeah. Great thing, and you say, you know what, I'm going to remember this one, and I don't write it down anymore. I'm like, yeah, how was that idea?
That's really important. I've made the mistake of thinking that and not writing it down. Like I've been on I like Peloton. I like Peloton bikes, and I find that's really good because we're distracting from the pain. And I suddenly think of a great title, and then I have to keep reminding myself because otherwise you forget it. If you're on the bus or something, and but you're right. Having something, you just jot those ideas down. Yeah.
Favorite cruise line and why?
People ask me that a lot, and a lot of it, I always say the answer is the next one I'm going on, because that's true. It's like the next one I'm on is always the favorite one. But a lot of it varies around what I'm doing and where I'm going and why I'm doing it. So if I'm going, if I'm doing it for my channel, obviously it's driven by other things. Personally, if I was, if I was, had to go on a cruise just for myself, if you like, I would go small ship. So I really like the small R class in the Oceania, Azamara ships. I like the smaller ships. So the Oceanias, Azamaras, Windstar. That's sort of because I like those. The small ship. I'm less bothered about having the big entertainment, lots of choice. But that's because I'm in reality a little bit spoiled, I guess, because I do. I'm lucky at this point. I do lots of cruising. But if I'm going, cruising with my partner, we'd always go on a much bigger ship because they want, the production show, a big casino, choice of dining venues. They want to have, choice of pool, whatever, a retreat, whatever those things are. If I'm taking my mum, then I want to go on more of a Cunard because she likes the dressing up. So it, Don, I'm trying to dodge the question. It's just that it's like
I get it. For me, my answer would have been very similar.
Yeah, it depends on what as I plan, like if and then of course it also depends on where you're going, because it depends on what that itinerary is going to be. So like I'm just back from the Caribbean, which I was lucky enough to do two things that are close to each other. But what I was trying to do as choosing, because I love the Caribbean, obviously coming from the UK, particularly this time of year when it's cold and whatever. But like I'm thinking next year, like I realized, I'm going to a lot of the same port because the ships obviously go to a lot of the same ports, particularly on the west. So next year, when I'm planning, I'm saying, okay, I need to find ships but they have to be smaller because they go to because they can get into the smaller ports. So it's sort of playing around with those kind of things. So, but yeah.
I only sail Carnival because of my relationship with Carnival, but I get the same question just about what ship is my favorite in the fleet. And
right. Yeah. My
answer is very similar. Just it really depends. Every ship is different, and the next one's always my favorite.
But what's interesting, I don't know if you found this on it's what's really weird though. If you point about favorite ship is, it's really funny how if you go in the same class of ship, yet some of exactly the same class, the same layout, is still you prefer one over the other. It's interesting. It's funny how it's hard to it's something hard to put things. Ships, even exactly the same class,
I agree,
have a different vibe about them. It's really weird, isn't it? But
for me, it's the crew. I know lots of the crew on Carnival. They're my crewmates. So for me, that's what separates the ships for me. But regular passengers have a different view, but yeah, I agree. Even the same class, if they just have a different feel when you're on board. How many times a year do you actually go on cruises?
Well, now obviously, I guess like most people, I'm in catch-up phase from not being able to cruise for so long. So effectively 2 years, because even when cruising, we started in the UK, you could only do UK only people, UK only port. So now at the moment, I'm doing about 10 a year. So I'm trying to go almost once a month at the moment, and I don't obviously if we can keep going at that pace. But I'm trying to do as much cruising as I can at the moment. I'm a bit obsessed at the moment, and so yeah, it's about. So I've got like this year. I know it's one every month I'm doing this year, and next year I'm already starting to fill next year's as well. So
It really is an obsession. I tell people all the time that cruising is the cheapest and most expensive vacation you'll ever take, because you
yeah,
can literally go on board a cruise ship for the price of Red Roof Inn and have all of your meals included in your entertainment, but it's expensive because once you go on that one,
you're done.
you tend
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
obsessed and want
yeah.
to go over and over and over and over.
I know it's like my partner's sister and her husband. We say, oh, we think you're going to cruise, and they finally booking one for June. They're doing the fjords in June, and that's what I've said to them is this is the beginning. This is now the beginning of the end, if you like, because I guarantee once, because I made sure they're going on the right cruise line, which is really important. I know they're going to love the cruise line. They will. I bet I'm almost betting they will book their next cruise on board, because you're right. Once you're in and you've
Yep.
discovered it and you've got the right
It's
cruise
over and
line
over.
and the right, you're done. Yeah, you're in.
We had talked, you had said that when you cruise for you, so you're obviously very popular in the cruise industry. I like to think I'm getting there someday. I'll be where you're at. Um, but is there ever really a cruise for you anymore? I mean, not only just going on board
Okay.
and filming constantly, even if you say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to bring any cameras. I'm not going to bring any gear at all. I'm just going to go and enjoy this cruise just to be a normal passenger. Do you ever really have that anymore?
That's great. That's a good point. Probably not, because I'm always tempted. Like we went, Hod and I went in October. We did a Greek cruise just when we could start traveling more internationally in Europe. And I said, I'm not going to work on this one. And you're right. I didn't pack all my cameras, but I bought enough so that actually it all came out and I started doing it. Yeah, I think it's true. Yeah. I feel like I'm missing out if I'm not doing it. Yeah,
I'm the same way. What about
yeah.
getting recognized on board? Does that hinder your ability to just be able to just kick back and relax?
No, it's not. No, it's not at all. I mean, I really like it, partly because I also do a lot of the cruising by myself, so I do a lot of them solo. So it's always great when people come up, because then you know, it's friendly faces and people know you, and then you can have dinner with them or whatever, or you just chat to them around. So no, so I love it. I mean, I one thing I discovered though is a lot of people will come to me on the second to last day and say, we just wanted to say, we watch your channel. It's like, oh my God, why did you tell me on day one?
I didn't want to bother
It's
you.
like, I didn't want to bother you. It's like, so I always say when I do my live streams or whatever, I just say like, if I'm on board, like come and say hello. And actually on my website, I put when I'm cruising, like I'm on these cruises, and if you're around, give me a shout. So, and I get asked a lot, which I haven't done yet, which is what you do, is group cruises. I haven't got as far as doing that yet, but I probably should do. But yeah, I do get recognized. Even in November, I went to Antarctica, and I was on and I actually thought no one would know me, because I went on Ponant, and I knew that 80 to 90% would be French, and my channel is mostly US. It's English speaking, so it's US, predominantly UK, Australia. I knew there'd be no Australians on board because they couldn't travel at the moment. So I thought, I'm going to be on there. No one's going to recognize me at all. And then there was this group. Taiwanese, but they live in Chicago and stuff. And they're like, Gary! On board. So even then, I thought I was going to recognize it. It was like, yeah, I like it though. It's great. It's great meeting people, because you get a chance to chat to them about the channel, what they like and stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I love talking to people, and I do get that same thing on the last day. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you before. He's like, we could have been talking this whole cruise. The
Exactly.
one thing that does drive me crazy, I'll be honest with you though, I love talking to people no matter what I'm doing. I don't mind if people come up and interrupt me and say, hey, you know what? I just wanted to say hi. I'll stop whatever I'm doing. The one thing that does drive me crazy. So if you see me on board, keep this in mind.
Okay.
If you see me actively filming something, like actively talking to my camera, that's not a good time to come and interrupt me to say hello.
Yeah. Or if people come up to you and you're filming and they'll go, Are you getting a good picture?
Right? It's like, yeah, thanks.
Well,
Let's start all over.
The other thing, do you get a lot? I get, it's surprising though, because often I worry about, will people like, being in shot, not being in shot. So I try and film around people or film on port days and stuff. But so many people come up to me and say, "Can I be in the video?" I don't know if you get that a lot, but yeah, it's because I know the cruise lines were like jittery about, we're worried about filming and whatever. And my point is like, my bigger problem is actually not having people that I don't want in the shot, rather
Right.
than that. Yeah.
It's interesting being recognized. I remember the very first time my channel was small and I was down in, I think it was Grand Turk, and I was walking around with my son, and this young guy comes up to me and he goes, "You're that YouTube guy." And I'll tell you, I felt like $1 million. It felt like, you know what,
Yeah.
every video I made was worth it. But now
Exactly.
I expect to get recognized on board or in the ports of call. What does weird me out is like a couple days ago when I'm walking out of Walmart here in the States in the middle of nowhere, and I'm talking to my wife, and somebody turns around and says, "I know your voice. You're Sal." I'm like, okay. that still weirds me out a little bit.
Yeah, that is a bit odd. Yeah.
Well, Gary, I don't want to keep you all day. I can't tell you how honored I am again that you took the time out of your day to talk to us and our audience. We appreciate you coming on the channel very much. And the offer is extended. I can't tell you right here on camera because I haven't announced it yet. But our next group cruise in 2022, if you'd like to come on with it, your ticket is on me. And it's on a newer ship, so I think you'll enjoy yourself. But we have your ticket if you'd like to come.
Okay, brilliant. Well,
I'll
look at the dates once you announce it. Yeah, great. Thank you. It's been great chatting to you. Great to meet you, and we'll meet you in person. Maybe we'll get to meet on your cruise sometime.
Very cool.
But thanks,
Gary. I appreciate it very much.
Great. Thank you.